All right. All right. A little delayed reaction here. All right. Everybody can hear me, see me okay? Yes. All right. All right, guys. We're going to get this show on the road. I know it's a couple minutes after already. Welcome, 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 Crypto Renegades. Welcome to the new people. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year and happy birthday, in case I missed it. Um, Here we go. I'm going to dive right in. We had a nice little pump last night. I gave a little upward trending on support after breaking through and retesting on the overall downward trending resistance. Possible pump this week up to 96 to 100 range. It was looking like this at the moment. It did pump up to about here, to about 90, something like that, like 89 or 90K. And then it just came right back down. So it looked like right after that, right up to about 90,272. And then here we are right now. So we're still bouncing on this upward trending support. This is XRP right now. We did break the middle, kind of a middle line here. We came down and retested the center line. I might have too much going on here. Hold on one second. Came down and retested this downward trending resistance, but this is just the kind of in the middle here. This is not the top. This white line is the top of the overall downward trending channel. If I zoom out, you'll be able to see it here better. So we've been in this overall downward trending channel for a while, since the all-time high of the year, which was about $3.60 for XRP, and still downward trending. But we did break out of a slight deviation in the resistance line, which is from this point, possibly even this point, but where we hit it several times and then just broke above that. Now we're still holding this upward trending support on the other side of that red line. So I have a feeling we are going to see some new climb. I mean, that little pump right there to me was, was the beginning of that. But this is the reverse carry trade kind of unraveling. This is a combination of that and the expirations on the Bitcoin futures, all expiring on Friday, and then this just being the first business day. I would say that the market makers would want Bitcoin to get up to about 96K to 100K. They would rather go up than down. And so I was predicting, and I said this the other day, predicting here that options expire today. This was Friday. The fallout will be over the coming days. Max pain is at 96K, meaning market makers would make more if they pumped BTC to 96K. However, the sweep could bring it down to as low as 76, but that might not happen. XRP to about $1.65 in the worst case. But again, market makers will make more money if they move the price up, not down. My prediction, back up to around 100K for Bitcoin and XRP to about $2.05. So where would that bring us? That would just be XRP coming up to right about, or Bitcoin coming right about here, retesting this support and resistance level, and or up to this blue line up here, which was another major support level on the way down here. So we got, I think this is also, basically imminent. This could happen very quickly. Now, whether we get above this or not, guys, I mean, we do have what, 2 more days of this year. If we're looking at the 12-month time frame, it may not happen before that. And January could, in the first week or two of January, we could see a pump all the way up to, 115. But I don't really know if we're going to get higher than that. What we're looking at here is a possible, I mean, I'm not saying we're not, I just don't know, because a lot of weird things are happening in the market. We should, but this could turn into another head and shoulders where we come up. Maybe we break through this 100K and we go up to 110, 115, and then we consolidate back down and retest that 100, and then we come back down, and that would really finish off a textbook head and shoulder pattern. And what would happen, that would make the next candle on the 12-month time frame that I always talk about, that would make that one go up a little bit. So if we come over here and look on the 12-month, this red candle that we're currently in right now, we have 2 days and 7 hours left. This is the yearly candle, or the 12-month candle. And this is the first time, guys. I mean, look how high the candlestick went. I mean, the wick went up to 126, and it's down to right now currently 87,000. It would need to get above 94K, above this candle line right here, in order for this to turn green again right before it prints and the next candle starts. Why would that matter? Because so far throughout history, this is the candle, the bull market candle ending in December, and it has never before ended red. Green comes down, January 1st happens, the candle is red, but as you can see here, let me get rid of this. As you can see here, this one did go up a little bit after this candle started in January. It did go up a little bit. You can see the wick right there. This one went up. So imagine right now, this is the current month. Went up to 126. We come all the way down to 87. This candle opens in January. And as you can see, this candle did go up before coming down into the bear market, but it did not go higher than this one, which means if this was the current situation, this one's 126. This one went up to maybe, 18, 109, 110. Didn't quite get higher. Same back here. The January candle never seems to get higher than the December top in a bull market. Yet, so far, historically, this candle went all the way up to 1,249, came all the way down to 743. When this candle started, that means this candle printed. This candle then went up in January, back up to like 988, a couple $100 up, but it didn't get higher than this. And that was the beginning of the bear market. So here we are in the current situation, already red. That's the first. All these candles ended green because they closed and printed higher than the previous candle. Closed and printed higher than the previous candle. Closed and printed higher, much higher than the previous candle. Here, in the current situation, we are already currently below the previous candle. The previous candle was 94K. We went up to 108, 109, came down to 94, printed, new candle started. We went all the way up to 126, and now we're down below this. That's a first. So to say that things can't change would be inaccurate. Things are changing. This is different. All right. So, however, we do have 2 days and 7 hours left for this to pump up to 94 before it prints. And then that would turn it green again, ever so slightly green. It would be just a thin green line with a long wick on the top and a long wick on the bottom, if that happened. Then the next candle would open. And if the next candle went up in January, it would also be green until the price came back down below whatever price this closed at. Then it would turn red. Like what has happened here in 2022, what happened here in 2018, what happened here in 2014. So that's just been the history of it so far. Can this time be different? Yes. So, We got 2 days and 7 hours left to see what this one's going to print as. If it's red, that's different. What could that mean going forward? It could mean that in 2026, starting in January, we're either going to go into a bear market or we might have a super cycle where that candle, for the first time in Bitcoin's history, gets bigger, gets higher in price and value than the previous 12-month candle of the bull market. That would indicate that the bull and bear market cycles might be coming to an end. As institutions and, multi-billion-dollar national corporations all start to tie Bitcoin into their reserve and causes the volatility to be less, more stable, going up slowly rather than huge ups and downs in bull and bear market cycles. That's all possible. We just have to wait and see. So in the meantime, let's look at some other things, what's happening here, because here's some other really important indicators here. I mean, we did flip the EMA ribbon bearish when we broke below the overall upward trending support line, this white line right here. Bearish, couldn't get back above it, broke through to the downside. We've been underneath the EMA ribbons this whole time, but we come down here and bounce on this support, which is the current situation. And we've wicked into the EMA ribbons, trying to get back above it, long wicks in and coming back down. We need to flip it back, and it needs to get through it. That would bring us up to 94, 95, 96, what I was just talking about. But we would need to hold above that too. It could be one of these situations where we wick above it and come right back below. It could be, if I go back far enough to the previous bull and bear market cycle, bull market top 68K, we come down and we're bouncing on this line, kind of where we're at now, falling wedge very similarly. Everything looks almost identical. We need to break out of it and pump it. It would be equivalent to us right now breaking above. You can see we're below the EMA ribbons here, wicked above it a couple times, couldn't hold, and then came above it and held. This is what we would need to do: wick above it, hold, and go up higher. That would bring us up to 96 to 100K, but we would need to hold above it and continue to climb. This one just fell right back through, broke that line, and then continued downward. And that would be like equivalent to us doing this, breaking up to 95 to 100, getting above the EMA ribbon, falling back below it, breaking this support. Actually, this support. It's more like this. Equivalent to this one back here. This one was very similar, head and shoulders, but this right shoulder was weak. It wasn't that big before it broke through. This one so far, I shouldn't even have that there because it's not anything yet. It's not even a right shoulder yet. In order for it needs to break this downward trending channel and hit these levels. And if it gets above that and keeps going, great. We could have a huge pump in the next 2 days. That can happen. I mean, it has happened before in December. These are daily candles here. So we got 1, 2 from 60K up to 66K right there. Right here, we got from 60K right there to 68K in 2 days. That would be equivalent to us coming right up to 95K or so. Right, somewhere in between these two right here. And there also could be a decoupling effect. If any of you look at the XRP correlation with Bitcoin, I'm going to share it here in a second. Let me just pull up that chart. Find it. It's too much time. But XRP and Bitcoin, they tend to, most everything is running kind of correlating with Bitcoin right now. Ethereum even, but there will be a decoupling here eventually. And even Ethereum is still in its downward trending channel, but it has bounced on major support and resistance here, which is the 2800 line going all the way back to January of last year. And yeah, it just couldn't hold. After breaking these highs up here, it just couldn't hold up there and fell back. But so far, it's holding here. It hasn't come lower yet. There is always a possibility of that, guys. So as we end out the year here, and December 31st is just right around the corner. Historically speaking, it usually has been the beginning of a bear market. Question is whether this time is different or not, and or whether we get a nice little pump before it happens. It would make sense that we do get a little pump before it happens, which could bring us up to 3,500 on XRP. If it can't get higher than that, and we see the January candle go up and then start to come back down and flip red again from green, then to me, that might be a telltale sign of what's to come. And there's still no guarantee that something fundamental can change. Governments, Clarity Act, all this stuff, the Japanese reverse carry trade that unwind, all of these things are happening at the same time. Wars in Venezuela, oil going up in value, all kinds of things that could cause things to change in the markets rather quickly. Stock market could crash, silver could go to the moon, oil could go up, XRP could shoot to the moon, Bitcoin could just stay in one spot. Bitcoin will probably go up if all of that happens as well, but maybe not to the degree as some of these other things. That would be kind of like what we used to call altcoin season and the end of a bull market. And that's kind of what happens, because here's how it looks usually is that Bitcoin will be the leader of the pack going up in a bull market, bull market, bull market. Meanwhile, while that's happening, altcoins are correlating and they're going up, they're going up, they're going up too, right? Bitcoin starts to wane and come back down, but the altcoins get their little pump. They get their time in the sun where they get higher, right? Bitcoin starts to wane. And then we got the micro caps that are happening also simultaneously. They're going up, they're going up. And then the altcoins start to wane and come down. And then the micro caps get their little bull market top. So it's kind of like in cycles like that. At least that's what it's been historically. So if this is the top, if 126 was the top of Bitcoin, we might still see altcoin pumps, altcoins pump and an altcoin cycle, so to speak. But and then another one after that going into January and February. But that's only if everything remains the same as it's always been. And there is a good argument that this time might be different. But until it is, I can't say that it is yet. Anybody got any questions about anything? Let's look at some of the other indicators here. We got the what's going on with the pi cycle. I mean, this is kind of crazy right here, guys. This is one thing that I can't explain. So the pi cycle cross. The pi cycle generally has always indicated the top of a market cycle when these two lines cross on the pi cycle. So let's just go back in history here. I mean, pi cycle, these two lines cross right here. Boom, you can see the green line is on top here and it's on the bottom here. If you just put your mouse right where it crosses, you see the pi cycle flag straight up. And it just so happened to be at the very tip top of the market. Same here. Pi cycle green line crosses underneath the red line. Look at the dotted line going straight up, right in the middle of the top. Next one, pi cycle crosses right here. Green line goes under the red line, right there. It's right in the middle of the top. And again, here in the last bull market. That, by the way, this is why the 65K was called the top. This was just a double top, even though this went up to 68K. This was considered the top. So here we are now in the current situation. These lines are not even close to crossing. I mean, the green line is starting to come down a little bit, but the red line is too. They're not even heading towards each other. So this is the one indicator that has historically very accurately called the tops in the markets. And since it's not right now, these aren't about to cross. Like if we were like right here and they were getting closer and closer and closer, I'd be telling you guys, okay, a top's about to happen. As soon as these cross, it's almost easy to see, right? So this is an anomaly right here. This is the first time we don't really know what to make of this, right? So other invisible forces behind the scenes, we could see a huge parabolic move to the upside going into January. It could be a wild, super cycle, one that we've not seen before, that people keep talking about all the time. And this red line will start to curve up. The green line will start to curve up, and eventually they would meet somewhere here and cross, and then that would be it. You would see a pullback. That would be considered the top. But is this going to happen in the next 2 days? Hell no. This is like a couple months out before that's even possible for them to cross. So that is strange. With that being said, let's look at market cipher A. We got some red diamonds, a little red diamond here, but we did have a little pullback from that. And not really telling me much here. Let's go and let's look at market cipher B. On the daily, we have a green dot and another green dot with a higher high down here. Okay, so if I put my mouse right here, that was when we touched this. And then right here, we've got another one. And down here, we had another one. So what do we have happening here is upward trending. Let's just look at when this has happened before. We're coming down. We had a low in price. Right here, we had a low. That's when that first green dot happened right there. And then we had a lower low. That's when that second green dot happened. And then we had a lower low. That's with the third one. But as you can see, getting higher and higher and higher on market cipher. And then we had this one, which was a little higher. And that was before this big pump to the upside, big breakout. So is this the same thing? Well, the money flow is flowing back in. This red line right here turned green. That's the RSI flipping green. And I mean, if you were to just look at this chart by itself, you might say, well, doesn't that look like a bear flag? It does, but when bear flags happen to be right up against major support, they tend to break the opposite direction. So instead of down, it might break up. And we also might have one big last hurrah, so to speak, from this downward trending channel. It's falling wedge. It's falling channel here. We did break out of it, the downward trending resistance. We already passed it, but we're not seeing hardly any volume, any buying pressure, really. It's just kind of going sideways, but it's going sideways in a slightly upward trend from the support. And as you can see here, this is correlating. Whereas back here, it was divergence. The price was coming down while this was going up. Here, the price is going up while this is going up. So hard to call there. Let's go to a little bit higher. Let's go to the weekly. Oh, we got a nice green dot down here. We got money flow that came out. It's curving around, green dot, right around where the breakout happened. But it does look like it is curving back up. And usually when we have this lip right here, this light blue curve around and create that crest of a wave, like upside down wave that you would see in the ocean, that's when the green dot usually appears. And from there, as you can see here, and the price, we nice get a nice pump. Even if like this one was in the bear market going down, we still got a nice pump from it. So here we are in the current situation. We're also below this line and below the dotted line. That doesn't happen very often. Let's look at it here. This is probably more. Yeah. A couple times that it happened throughout history, Bitcoin's history, we were in a down bear market where we got below this line and curved back and had a little pump back up. Boom. But it wasn't a higher high. Here, we had a nice pump. Oh, this one had a really nice pump back up, but it did not make a higher high on the bear market. I mean, the bull market top. And this one was the last bull market cycle on the way down. Right here, boom, green dot, we pumped, but we didn't break out of the downward trend. So, what I'm doing right now is basically just doing technical analysis on all the different indicators to see what they're all telling me. And this is bullish, but to what degree? Are we going to get a pump here? I'm expecting one to 96, 97, but is it going to be a major brand new all-time high at the last 2 days of the year in what would historically normally the top of the bull market? It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to say for sure, but if I had no choice but to guess and I had to give my opinion, I would think that this, it's pushing it. It's pushing it. Is it possible that we pump way up right now and go into the 130, 141? Yes, it is possible. We've seen that. I just showed you that even last year over here, we had, right here, we had, in a basically a 1 day period, we shot up from 57,000 all the way up to like 68. And actually, I'm sorry, this is the weekly time frame. So that's a week. Let's go back to the daily. So yeah, we've seen it happen where we got a big pump on the daily. Like, look at this right here, like 60K up to 69K in 1, 2, 3 days. So yeah, it's possible. Back here, 59K to 64K in one day.
What would the benefit be for it to push up that, or the plus, I guess?
The benefit for us or the overall market?
Well, for the overall market to push.
It's not necessarily a benefit. It's a result of the expiration, the Bitcoin expirations all coming due, people taking money out, people getting liquidated, people getting, their orders filled or not filled on the expiry, which happened Friday, by the way, but the fallout is usually 24 to 48 hours later. And here we are Monday. We did see a little pump overnight, as I went over earlier, which was this. It was a nice pump last night, right? This big pump right here just shot all the way up to 90K, but it just fell right back down. And so, we could fall through this and drop all the way down to 85 or maybe even, 80 again. But I think because we're still holding on the upward trending support here, and we broke the downward trending resistance that is goes all the way back to the all-time high. We broke through that to the upside, and we retested. I mean, look right here. We broke through here, fell back in, hit the support, broke through here, retested, made a higher high, retested, made a higher high, and retested, and even made a higher high. So, it's still upward trending. And it did break out of the overall downward trending resistance. So to me, it's like it's trying to get back up. The benefit, I don't know the benefit for the overall market. Well, the market makers will make more money because what they call the 96K level, which is right up here, is the max pain level where they can extract the most money from the market.
Is that the same number that it needs to reach for the 12-month candle to print green?
Yep. 94K, right? It would get 94K is where it would print green. So if it shot up a little higher than that and then printed in the next 2 days, that would make that candle green, which would stay in line with every other candle at this time of year at the end of a bull market. And it just so happens, just like we always say in this group, it's just kind of amazing how all these things kind of fall into place like that. If that were to happen, most people wouldn't even notice that. But yeah, I think this is the line right here. And we did bounce on this and then come up to this before. But we couldn't get above this resistance. This time we got through the resistance. So we could certainly come up to this again over the next 24 to 48 hours. And maybe even going into January too. But see, January, the weird thing about January is that we can see a higher high in January, not higher than the all-time high, but so far it never has happened. But we can see that January candle that on the 12-month time frame actually get higher than the previous candle. It just has never gone higher than the previous candle yet.
Well, it could make a new all-time high too. Like, why would it not be possible?
It's everything is possible. It just hasn't yet historically. So if you go and look at every bull market so far, which I've pointed out several times, this is it right here. This candle right here, this is 2017. This candle right here, 2013. This candle right here, 2021. Those are the 4-year cycles. So let's look at it. Bull market top, 1, 2, 3, 4, bull market top, 1, 2, 3, 4, bull market top, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we stick with what's always been the case, then this 126 would be the top. But one thing that has never happened yet in Bitcoin's history is that this candle ended red. It's always ended green, but as you can see, they're big green, bigger. I mean, smaller, but still big, smaller, but still big. This one could be really small, but it needs to get above 94 in order for it to be green, is what I'm saying. And it has to do that in the next 2 days. Now, if this candle prints in the next 2 days, red, the next candle could go green because this candle went green, this candle went green, this candle went green. But as you can see with the wick, it only went up so high. It never went higher than this one. And then it came back and turned red. That was the bear market. This one went up a little bit. It was green when it was above this line, but once it came back down below this line, it turned red and bear market. Same with this one, went up a little bit, then came back down. So the next candle that prints could go up, yes. And it could even make a new high, like you just suggested. It could, it's possible. It just never has yet, is all I'm saying. Now, we can't base everything on history, but history is usually a good indicator, right? It tends to repeat. And it repeats, and it has repeated. My point is that it has always repeated so far. So to say that it's not going to repeat this time, it would be premature for me to say that because I have no idea whether this time would be different. And if I had to bet on whether this time is going to be different or not, I would say no, because it hasn't been yet. Right? You have to go with the trend is your friend till the end, as the old saying goes in trading. And the trend is that every bull market in December, this candle prints, and this is January, the beginning of January, and that's the beginning of a bear market. This candle is the top in December, this candle prints, and that's the beginning of a bear market. So far, that's just been the case. This time could be different, for sure. Now, what makes this time different is we've got mass adoption, we've got government support, we've got laws changing in favor of crypto, we got a crypto president, we got all kinds of great things happening. Why is the price not already 300,000, 500,000 on Bitcoin? Why have we just, during all of these great announcements, otherwise known as catalysts, in favor of crypto booming, has it not? Something is probably artificially and suppressing it. Something is holding it down for a reason. Michael Saylor buys $1 billion worth of Bitcoin almost every month, and the price hardly goes anywhere. You know why? Because there are probably more institutions and high rollers and whales selling as well. You have buying pressure and selling pressure at the same time, the price doesn't go anywhere. If everyone was just buying, the price would be shooting up. But the reason why it's not is because, and you wonder why when someone buys, oh, someone just bought $100 million and the price hardly moved. That's because someone sold $100 million too.
So after saying all that, are you long looking for that 94K plus pop?
Yeah, so I'm still in my open positions that I talked about the other day. Long. I'm a little bit negative at the moment, but holding. My Ethereum open position is in profit tiny bit, but that's a risky trade because it didn't break out yet. But let's go look. It's just I was basing it on the Bitcoin expirations. By the way, guys, it was the largest in history. So let's just look right here. Bitcoin year-end options expiry, 23 billion. It's the biggest ever in history. Biggest expiry ever on the 26th of December. That already happened. That was Friday. The fallout from this usually takes a few days. And that's probably why we saw that pump this morning, overnight or late last night going into this morning. And now, why did it come back down so fast? That's a good question. But the calls are clustered. The calls are clustered at 100 to 120,000. Calls are longs. Puts are concentrated around 85. Those are shorts. Those people will be liquidated at 85. These people will be liquidated at 100 to 120. Max pain, 96K. So the current price is here at 87K. The cumulative long liquidation leverage is 1.26 billion from all of these. And usually the market makers don't lose. So the market makers generally would make more money if they pumped it up to max pain, which is right around here at 96. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to stay there or continue up. It could just be just enough for them to take massive profit and then sell and get out. And that would cause it to dump back down. And that would create a nice right shoulder going into January on this giant head and shoulders.
Nick,
If
what
we-
is this?
Go ahead.
What is this expiry all about? Sorry, I might be a blunt and dumb question, but
No, it's not. This is in the options market, in the stock market, where a lot of people are betting on whether Bitcoin's going to go up or down, but they're doing it with options. And if you know anything about options, options have an expiration date. So what we do is we trade futures where there is no expiration, but we have to be pretty accurate in our direction because we could get liquidated if our leverage is too high or if we're using too much margin. We could get liquidated. Some people like options if you know what you're doing. I mean, it's definitely more risky, and but it can make a lot of money. Obviously, options trading, but because you're giving the option to buy, like, so for instance, if you go long in options, which is a call, you're basically betting that the price is going to go up in Bitcoin, but you have an expiration date of 30 days. Let's just say that means you have 30 days for it to do what you think it's going to do. Otherwise, your option expires. And if your option expires, you lose the amount that you bet on that trade if it doesn't do what you wanted to do in that period of time. So when you have $26 billion in expiration or options expiring on a specific day, right? Then all that money, a lot of people get liquidated. It causes volatility, a lot of volatility in the price in the market. People are moving money around. They're getting out of their positions. They're either getting liquidated. So there's a lot of whipsaw action, which is kind of what we saw. We saw a big pump up to 90K, 91, and then jump back down to 86, 87. So, but I don't think it's over yet. I think there's going to be more whipsaw, more fallout.
is that only on Bitcoin, or does XRP also have an option expiry?
That was Bitcoin that we were just talking about.
Yes, but does XRP have the same thing or no?
I don't know if you can trade options on XRP yet. Now that there are big XRP ETFs and things like that, I think these were trades from last month or the month before, or throughout the year that were expiring. Some people, this is a year-end expiration, so these are people who, some of them went long or short a year ago or the beginning of this year with an expiration date of December 26th, meaning their trade had to do what they wanted it to do, had to go up to a certain price or go down to a certain price by the 26th in order for them to win. And it didn't. Well, some people might have made money. It might expire with some people in profit, but for the most part, there's a huge amount of liquidity and liquidation happening. We'll see over the coming days what the fallout of it was. But the reason why it seems like nothing's happening, it's kind of slow. I give the analogy of driving in traffic. Like, you're on the expressway, you're hauling ass, you're doing the normal speed, and then all of a sudden the traffic comes to a grinding halt. And you just looks like traffic for a mile ahead. You don't see what's wrong, right? Then you finally slowly, after an hour, get up to what was causing the problem. And it's a car that was burned or a car that got in a wreck, but it's not even in the way anymore. It was already moved off the road 20, 30 minutes ago. But the traffic is still slow because everybody who gets up to it has to stop and look, and they just slowly go by, right? Everyone could just hurry up and get back up to speed if they wanted to, but that's not what happens. So it's a delayed reaction before traffic starts to move fast again. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. The expiry happened on the 26th. It's a delayed reaction. People are like, oh, why isn't it pumping? Why isn't it dumping? It takes a couple days before all the fog to clear, basically. but we will see. I would say today or tomorrow, what happens there. Just reading questions in the chat. Can you explain your thoughts on how the reverse carry trade unwinds and how it affects XRP? First, like we had an all-time high month. Yeah, I think I've probably explained or shared things in the chat. I mean, in the Signal channel. But I am going to let someone else explain it even better than me, if you guys really want to know, because this might be more valuable to all of you than everything else we can talk about right now. So let me play this.
Now, I want to break down what collateral status really means. When the CFTC approved XRP as acceptable collateral, they didn't just say, yeah, sure, throw it in the mix. No, collateral is the backbone of the derivatives system. It's the assets institutions trust enough to post when they're taking on leverage or hedge positions. So if you want to simplify it, collateral equals the asset Wall Street is willing to bet millions on. You don't use junk collateral, you don't use hype coins, you don't use assets with weak liquidity. You use assets that have deep liquidity, proven reliability, settlement capability, commodity-like stability, and regulatory clarity. And that's the real headline here, is that XRP just got treated like a commodity-grade settlement asset. Let me give you a few implications of this that nobody's probably explaining in a simple way. Number one, collateral assets get locked, not traded. So once XRP is posted as collateral, it's not floating on exchanges, it's not being flipped, it's not creating volatility, and it's also not increasing circulating supply. It is effectively removed from the open market and held in institutional custody. So when supply tightens and demand starts rising from institutional uses, price doesn't have a choice. It must adjust upward over time. And this is just simple math. Now, number two, you cannot run trillion-dollar derivatives on low-value assets. The derivatives system is massive, over 1 quadrillion globally. Assets used inside that system need to be priced in a way that allows them to handle high-value settlement and collateralization. This has happened every single time in financial history. Gold rose before it became core derivatives collateral. Bitcoin rose before CME futures adoption, and major FX pairs hold value because they are derivatives backbone. Collateral assets don't chase price. Price re-rates to meet the demands of collateral. Let me say that again. Collateral doesn't follow speculation. Collateral forces valuation. Number three, XRP now sits on balance sheets. This is a big shift. Institutions can now hold XRP as recognized commodity, pledge XRP, lend against XRP, and integrate XRP into structured financial products. Before this decision, XRP was that crypto that SEC was fighting, and now it is stepping into the infrastructure layer of US financial markets. And then number four, this was not a price story. This was a plumbing story. I have to repeat that because everybody is looking at the charts, waiting on a move. By the time the move happens, you are already too late to the party. And that's why I'm educating you in the macro environment, so that you can align your conviction to the actual macro story, which really gives the sober implications of where this price could move in the near future. So let me reiterate this. Plumbing always moves before price. We saw the pipes shift, but we just haven't seen the repricing yet. But listen, the pipes always move first.
You guys. This is
I want to break down what collateral status.
Dr. Camila Stevenson. She's a financial expert as well. That video is in here, but there are many of her explaining the reverse carry trade as well and what it really means. But I thought that was the one that I wanted to play for you. But it's still good to know that the reason why is Japan. What happens is that what happened is that over the last 30 years, Japan was lending money at zero interest for a long time, decades. And that all came due last week. That ended. So that's a reverse carry trade. So all these people who borrowed now have to start paying. And I think they set the new interest rate at 70.75 or 75 basis points right out of the gate. So you're going to have tons of money coming out of the market to pay their debt, to pay their loans, crypto, stock market, derivatives, all kinds of stuff, right? Whatever they borrowed the money to buy, people will be selling. And so that causes some volatility in the market. There could be a big dump before a big pump, but then money has to go somewhere else. And that's when XRP shines, because Japan itself is switching over their entire financial structure over to the XRP ledger and over to Ripple network. And so there's a lot more to it than I even understand, guys. I'm not a mathematician when it comes to this stuff, but bottom line is that I'm trying to find the exact video explaining the actual reverse carry trade, because I think it would be more beneficial for you to hear it from people who truly understand all the mechanics behind it than from me. But when I heard it by several different experts, I understood that this is something that most people will never even understand or know about. Most people don't even get it. They don't understand what it means to the world economy. They don't understand how it affects the actual US dollar and pretty much all the financial institutions around the world. This is another reason why silver pumped to all-time highs. And let me see if we can find it here. And so there's a lot happening. A lot happening here with this that that will benefit.
Hey,
Go ahead.
before you're done, Nico, can you take a look at Zcash? It seems like it's like more in an uptrend compared to most of the other altcoins. It's like jumped up to 550 now.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a nice pump on this a couple months ago. Double topped up here and then broke the upward trending support line. And I didn't look at it since. Thought that was just a one and done. But it does look like it is coming back up to this level right here. Which it hit support and then resistance. I'm sorry, resistance, support, resistance, breakthrough, support, breakthrough, resistance. And it's hitting that right now. So is it going to resist or is it going to break through? So we have a nice upward trending support. We got resistance. So we have a upward trending floor and a flat horizontal ceiling of resistance. So that is an apex. This is a wedge. And what I would wait for is a wedge breakout. If it goes to the upside, then yeah, that could be, you can see a pump to new highs up here. And if it breaks to the downside, then that will be a failed rally and hitting resistance and not able to get back through it. But this is positive. This is all very bullish. If it does break through, then we got another major resistance up here at the 688 range. The all-time highs it wicked up to 750, 740. As you can see, getting lower and lower, but this is none of these wicks held above 688. So that's why I put the line there. Yeah, Bill answered that question. You can trade options on XRP, but BTC is the tide that rises all ships. Basically, until XRP breaks away or decouples from Bitcoin, it is correlating. So as long as it's correlating, whatever Bitcoin does, XRP does in the meantime. But that will change. I do promise you that will change. It will decouple eventually. Angela, yes, I do. A lot of whenever you see it like this, where I just give current positions, or this is just me giving updates on something we just talked about on the live calls. But usually it will look like this. XRP, I'm long with the small contracts, stop loss, take profit, and then I show my open position so you can see this is my entry price right here, the amount of contracts I'm using, the leverage I'm using, and my margin, the amount I'm risking. And then if I have a stop loss or take profit, I'll put it here. Usually I'll do that especially if it's a signal that I'm giving before or after a live call. Sometimes we do it right on the live call here, and then I will just share my open positions so everybody can see exactly what my entry and stop losses and take profit targets are. But it usually looks like this. Entry 93,203, stop loss 91,250, TP 106, first resistance, and then I include a screenshot as well. Keith, do you have a link for this whole video? I would recommend you just go to her YouTube channel. Let me see.
There's a link to it in the chat already.
Okay. And let me try to find the one I was looking for, because I think this is worth all of you guys hearing about.
If I'm not incorrect, Bill has said that if you type in your name and videos, it will show all your videos that you ever posted. I think that's what Bill says.
My name and videos?
Yeah. He showed that before.
Yeah. All right, give me 1 second, guys. Trying to find this. All right, let me just play this real quick for you guys.
Stevenson and around here, we talk well, and I'm gonna say everybody has already taken a position on digital assets, whether
Please mute yourself out, guys, if you're not talking to me.
they realize it or not. And the riskiest position isn't being early or late, it's being dismissive about something you don't understand. So before we talk about Japan or rates or liquidity, we need to be clear about what's actually being decided right now. Because Japan's move isn't random, it's a signal. And to understand that signal, you have to understand Japan's role in the system. Now, before we go any further, just to be clear, this is not financial advice. This is for educational content only, and it's meant to help you understand how the system is actually shifting. Now, if you appreciate these kinds of breakdowns that connect the dots instead of chasing headlines, please. All right, I want to talk about what Japan actually did, and to understand why this matters, you have to understand Japan's role. Japan is not just another economy. For over 30 years, Japan operated under a near zero interest rate policy. That wasn't accidental, it was structural. Japan became one of the largest funding sources, one of the largest holders of global assets, and a key pillar in how liquidity moved through the system. Entire market behaviors were built on the assumption that Japanese rates would stay low and predictable. So when Japan raises rates now, it's not just tightening, it's breaking a long-held expectation that the world depended on. And that's why this matters beyond Japan. When a foundational assumption changes, it forces a repricing of risk, liquidity, and strategy across all markets, not just bonds, not just currencies, not just stocks. This is the kind of shift that doesn't show up all at once on a chart, especially. It shows up first in behavior, then in balance sheets, and only later in price. And that's where the real story begins. Now, I want to help you understand why this breaks global assumption. And this is where most explanations stop too early. People hear Japan raise rates and immediately think about stocks, currencies, or short-term market reactions. But the real impact isn't about one market. It's about the logic the entire system was operating under. For decades, the global financial system was built around a simple assumption. Cheap, stable funding would always be available somewhere. That assumption shaped everything: how governments financed debt, how institutions allocated capital, how risk was priced, how leverage was tolerated. Japan was a cornerstone of that assumption. Not because Japan was booming or anything, but it's just because Japan was very predictable. So you have the low rates, the stable policy, and no surprises. When the predictability changes, the system doesn't just rebalance, it rethinks. And this is where we move away from the surface level story of yield, because yield is no longer the primary problem. The real problem now is scale. You see, debt levels are too large, interest costs are too sensitive, and small changes in rates create outsized consequences. So the question institutions are asking has nothing to do with where I can earn a little more yield. It has to do with how do I manage risk when the old funding assumptions no longer hold. Now that shift from chasing yield to protecting balance sheets is subtle, but it changes everything. It changes how assets are evaluated. It changes what matters, and it changes what the system starts paying attention to. This is the moment where old tools start to show their limits and new ones start to enter into this conversation. Now let's go into a little more detail about this shift, because most people haven't fully caught up yet. Again, for a long time, the global system was focused on yield. How much interest can we earn? Where can we park capital and get a return? That framework made sense when debt was manageable. But once debt reaches a certain size, yield stops becoming the solution, because at that point, the problem isn't growth, it's survivability. When liabilities get too large, decision makers stop thinking about how do we earn more, and they have to start thinking about how do we keep this balance sheet from breaking? And that is a very different mindset. And once that mindset takes over, assets get evaluated differently. They're no longer judged by only return. They're judged by how they behave under stress, whether they grow faster than liabilities, and whether they give the system flexibility instead of fragility. This is why you're seeing a transition away from yield chasing and towards balance sheet thinking. And if you don't understand that shift, it's very easy to misread what's happening right now and misjudge which assets matter going forward. Now, let me pause here for a moment, because everything that we're talking about right now, debt, balance sheet, liquidity, macro shifts, this isn't intuitive unless you study how markets actually connect. Most people are reacting to outcomes, and very few people are learning how the system works underneath. And that's why I often recommend Stock Up University, because it doesn't give you the hype or the shortcuts, but it helps you to understand market structure, cycles, risk, and how money actually moves across assets and economies. If you want to level up how you think, not just what you trade, the link is in the description, and you can use my code before signing up. Now, I want to unravel why digital assets enter into this conversation very deeply. Because once the conversation shifts to balance sheets, technology inevitably enters.
I know it takes a long time to get to the point here, guys, but it's kind of important, because I know you can go watch YouTube channels on your own time, but at the same time, this is kind of urgent as to what's happening right now as we speak in the market, and you need to understand why things are going to happen, not just hear us say, oh, this is going to happen, without understanding it. So she's going to get to it right here.
The picture. Because legacy systems weren't built for the scale that we're dealing with right now. Settlement takes too long, collateral gets stuck, liquidity can't move efficiently across borders, and under stress, those efficiencies become very expensive. That's where digital infrastructure starts to matter, not as an ideology, but as a tool. Tokenization, faster settlement rails, programmable finance, these are not just trends, y'all. These are responses to limitations in the old system. When balance sheets are under pressure, anything that improves mobility, speed, and flexibility becomes more attractive. That's why digital assets aren't just an inventory category. They're being explored as infrastructure components. And once you see that, you're not thinking, is this risky? You're more so thinking, what happens if the system needs this? And this is where we start to change things, because we start to find that assets start mattering more than policies. So let me explain. When debt gets too large, governments eventually run into a hard reality. You can't regulate your way out of a math problem. You can adjust rates, you can tweak policy, you can change language, but none of that alerts the size of the liability. So at a certain point, the focus shifts not towards growth narratives, but towards asset side repair. That means one simple question starts to dominate, and that is, what do we own that can grow faster than what we own? That's how sovereign thinking changes. Historically, this is where you see gold reserves matter again, strategic commodities get prioritized, and real assets become central to policy conversations. What's different now is that digital assets enter into this discussion, not speculation, not an ideology, but as potential balance sheet instruments. Assets that are globally liquid, portable, divisible, programmable, and not tied to any single counterparty. That's why you're seeing digital assets discussed in contexts that have nothing to do with retail investing. They're being evaluated as strategic assets, tools that can sit on balance sheets, support liquidity, and potentially grow faster than sovereign liabilities over time. This is not about fixing debt overnight, but it is about changing the shape of the balance sheet. And once you understand that, you realize something important. When a system starts aligning incentives around certain assets, the riskiest position isn't understanding them imperfectly. It's ignoring why they're being considered at all. And this is why you have to sit for a minute and wonder what you're either betting for or against. You see, when you zoom out and put this all together, the picture becomes clearer. Japan's move wasn't a one-off. It was a signal that the old playbook, cheap funding, endless yield, policy tweaks, is reaching its limits. What replaces it isn't chaos. It's a gradual shift toward assets over promises, flexibility over optimization, and systems that can adapt instead of systems that can barely hold. This is why the real question going forward isn't what's going to pump next. It's what actually holds value when the system is under pressure. Every major transition in financial history has followed this pattern. The tools change, the incentives shift, and the people who understand why things are changing end up positioned very differently from the people who only react after it's obvious. That's what you're really betting on right now. It's not a headline, y'all. It's not a chart. It's not even a timeline. You're betting on whether the world continues moving towards systems that require speed, liquidity, and flexibility, or whether it somehow reverses decades of debt, demographics, and math. And once you see it that way, the noise starts to matter a lot less. And I hope you can continue to get rid of the noise and keep learning, keep getting educated, keep understanding where our financial system is headed. Now, if this video helped you to see the—
All right, guys, believe it or not, even though she didn't mention it all, she's talking specifically about XRP because she does in many other videos, and how the infrastructure and the backbone to the financial systems that she is referring to, all is going to have to be settled using digital, the digital currencies and the technology. So it's not a pump situation where XRP can pump up to $30 and then go back down. And once they determine the rails that are going to be used to settle all of these transactions, and by the way, we didn't even talk about the derivatives markets or, you know, the stock market transaction settlements and things like that in the derivatives market, which is, we're talking about trillions, or if not tens of trillions a day, per day. Okay, so it doesn't matter what XRP is, you know, market cap is. Okay, it would need to be a certain price in order to handle that much volume. So if you go into her channel and watch some other videos, she's all for XRP, and she thinks that's going to be the one. But the reason why I talk about it, and the reason why I say that it's not something that's going to slowly go up, because we're still looking at cryptos like crypto coins, and that this one's going to go up, and then we're going to move the money into this one. No, XRP is not going to be traded like it is now. It's going to basically be taken off the exchanges eventually. It will be. This is why I say that this is like the only time in history that we can actually front run the governments of the world and the financial markets and the giant hedge funds, the financial institutions that are all pouring billions into it right now. We're able to front run them because once they've determined that who their chosen technology is, they all start building infrastructure around it. And while they're doing that, we just so happen to be able to still buy this stuff at less than $2. But once they finally get all their ducks in order and they reach their limit of OTC available XRP. OTC stands for over the counter, meaning not on the retail markets, not on Coinbase, but behind the scenes from Ripple, the corporate headquarters themselves. They only have a certain amount left, and the liquidity is shrinking. The amount available is shrinking. It will get to a point where they have to merge ledgers, and people will have to buy, or these institutions of government will have to shore up on the retail market. Once that happens, availability, liquidity dries up, and availability and your ability to even buy one XRP goes away. So this is why I think it's a little urgent for you guys to have as much as possible or to do your accumulating before that happens. So this takes a little foresight. It takes some belief that that's going to happen. But at the same time, I know that there's going to be people who totally miss the boat. We've seen it happen a million times, even in this group, where we'll talk about something and after it happens, everybody's high-fiving. Some people are showing their profits, and there's always somebody that says, oh, I missed it. I missed a couple of days. I haven't been here. Oh, I missed that. I guess I'll catch the next one. Don't miss it, guys. This would be the mistake of a lifetime. This is something that can probably change your life in a drastic way. And so this is why I take the time to show you these videos, because I'm kind of forcing you to watch something that you might find boring to listen to otherwise. But it is good to understand.
Nico, would it be better, obviously, as we've talked about before, to put this in a trust so you're now an entity and you can act more like a business structure as opposed to when they say, hey, we're going to take all the XRP? Well, I'm an institution now and a smaller scale. Would that work, you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what some experts say that you would need to do is to, sell your cold storage wallet or your XRP. You can't do it on a centralized exchange. You can't leave it on Coinbase and control it at the same time. You would have to move it into cold storage, and then you could partner with a custodian type of situation, institutional grade custodian, which would hold your XRP in your name. In other words, your entity name, your LLC name, or your personal name, whichever. And only you would have access to it from those accounts. It's a little different than a centralized exchange. You have control still, but you are operating as an entity or a business or a corporation, and you're loaning your XRP back to the liquidity pool and getting paid a dividend for doing it monthly. Let's just say it could be 5% per year. That could be paid out monthly. And then that may not add up to a lot if you only have a couple $100. In fact, you wouldn't even qualify to do something like that unless you have like, I don't know, $100,000 worth of XRP or more. And now some of you don't even have anywhere close to that, but you will when price appreciates. You could possibly have millions of dollars worth of XRP if XRP shoots up to $100, $200, $300, $500. I would say that the short-term sweet spot is somewhere between $200 and $400 once this switch happens. And that would be life-changing enough for most of you, but I don't think that's even close to where it's going to end up. Could be over $1,000 to $10,000.
Excuse me, Nico. Can I talk
Yes.
to you for a second?
Sure.
Okay, on Phemex, I have my XRP staked, but it's not really staked. You go to earn, right? Earn, and you pull it up, and you can stake, Tether and Solana and different coins, but you can stake them flexible.
Yeah.
Where you're not locked in the days. You can just cash right out one day. but I've already earned, I've only been doing it a few weeks, but I've already earned 15 XRP.
Yeah,
Because what happens is you're getting 0.30 annual percentage rate, but you're getting it in XRP,
correct.
and they're paying you every day. So every day I get a notice saying
Yeah,
from Phemex, we deposited this much whatever XRP. It's called investment account.
yes,
Investment account. And I just was thinking that I want to put my XRP on the cold wallet. I have a lot of it on there. I've been buying it since 2016, but I do have some in my investment account in Phemex because it's earning
right.
XRP. So I'm kind of waiting till the last minute to take it off the exchange. Because once I put it in the cold wallet, I'm not earning it. I'm not gonna earn anymore.
Correct.
Yeah.
So in a cold wallet, you're not earning anything while it's just sitting there. But if it shoots up drastically in value, obviously you've stored the wealth there, and then you can go and take it, and then you can go and loan it, or put it in once it has that price appreciation. Imagine if you were getting the percentage you're getting now on $3 million with XRP instead of 300 or 3,000 or whatever it is. So
Well, that's what I did. I only left a little bit in there earning the XRP and the bulk of it in the cold wallet,
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
and it's
figured
available to all of you guys. Yeah, because Phemex is technically decentralized, it is safer, I think, than maybe Coinbase even. But because Coinbase would have a lot more demand from hundreds of thousands or millions more people,
Mm.
and they might find themselves in the same situation that Binance found themselves into when they had a liquidity crunch in XRP. Their XRP literally dried up. They don't. I think they didn't have any more available. And
well, I checked the investment account. I checked it. There's 631,000 left that you can buy and invest, and then it's full. They've been doing this for a while, but
yeah,
after it gets full, that's it. Nobody else can get in. And
yeah,
you've been in it long enough. Back in the day, they were going state crazy, not Phemex, but OpenSea and buying NFTs and staking stuff for 500%. And it was just chaos. But this is safe, is what I'm saying. This is safe. I've been doing it for a few times for the last few years, and I always get the XRP I earn. Yeah.
yeah.
So I was just saying that to maybe help the people in the group. Maybe they could throw 100 or 200 bucks in there and earn some XRP for a little while.
Yeah, guys, and if you don't know how to do it, you can even outside of our group, just go into Phemex, and there is a little button in the bottom right corner. When you click on almost any tab, it looks like a text message symbol. You just click it, and it opens up a chat with their support. And they are very responsive. They're very good at helping you. You can even request to speak to someone live, a real person, rather than their AI generated responses. And they will help you as quickly as possible. Once they also see that you are Crypto Renegades verified account, then you get special VIP treatment there as well. So if you have any questions about what can and can't be done inside of Phemex, you can always ask them as well directly. You don't need to wait for one of our responses. You can go get it directly from Phemex. But yeah, Phemex, you can stake, you can borrow, you can loan, you can put your crypto into liquidity pools and earn money, and you can also borrow against your crypto. So you can do that on Coinbase as well. And Coinbase obviously offers staking as well, I think, for USDT and USDC. So, but just remember that these are centralized and partially decentralized accounts where it's still not your seed phrase. They're still in control of it. So if Coinbase or Phemex or any exchange has a liquidity issue and they need your XRP, what are they going to do? Are they going to take it? Are they going to cash you out, pay you for it? Or are they going to lock it up? These are questions I can't answer. I don't know. But if they ever do that and your XRP is in your cold storage wallet, then that doesn't affect you. But if it's on their platform, they technically are still in control of it. So just be careful there. I mean, nothing you're wrong. You're not doing anything wrong, Maxine. That's actually a great idea since you have capital sitting there anyway in your spot wallet or your margin wallet or your futures wallet, like a lot of people do, because your trading is just sitting there. So whatever's not being used, you could be staking, of course, and getting a dividend from it. And then in her case, getting paid in actual XRP, which to me, each XRP is more valuable than the dollar that it equates to at the current moment. Right now, what, $1.80 per XRP? But the actual value of an XRP could be $1,000 right now. You just don't know it yet. It just the price just hasn't adjusted to it yet. And so to me, being able to buy $1,000 bills for $1.80, I mean, if you knew you were buying $1,000 bills for $1.80, how many would you buy? I walk down the neighborhood selling $5 bills for $1.
All day long.
Yeah. So the thing that causes people to get rich, guys, is foresight and inside information, maybe a little inside information. This is technically inside information because most people that are not in this group don't know about the things we're talking about. Most people aren't learning about this stuff. They're going to work, they're going to their job, they're running their businesses. Yeah, they heard about crypto. I'm talking about the majority of the people, not crypto people, but the majority of the people. Yeah, I got a Coinbase account. Yeah, I got a little bit of Bitcoin. Yeah, I got a little bit of Dogecoin. I got a little bit of Shiba Inu. I got a little Pepe. They still think those things are what's important because they pumped. Oh yeah, I know somebody who made $500,000 with Pepe when it pumped. So I got some now in case it pumps again. You're in the wrong coin. That is not going to pump again. There's going to be a time, guys, in the near future that Shiba Inu and all of these, what I call shit coins, meme coins, are going to be worthless. And now they will still fluctuate in value. The price still will go up and down slightly over time because there still will be people in those ecosystems and fans of those meme tokens and, the Shiba Inu armies of, the people that still believe in it, who don't really understand what the use case is and just think it's fun. There's still going to be people buying and selling it, but that's not what you're going to get rich from.
Nico, if they want something that's, I think it's January 1st, it goes into effect. My friend Milt works he runs the Gunster law office down in Miami, for Brickell. And they're coming out, they just passed it, a series LLC in Florida, where instead of all these different structures you're setting up, you set up a master LLC, and then you can have multi-series LLCs like little children within it, where you have real estate and crypto and different things like that. So it may be something people want to research it. That's going to be it's in Florida at least. So across the country, they're looking at implementing it. So it's something that it's something for people to look into, save them some money on having all these different entities. You have one almost like a holding company, and then you have the other series LLCs underneath them. So just FYI.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. Yeah, these are like called family offices, and they're out there. Jake Klaver's got the similar situation going on with what's it called? Beyond Broke or whatever his company is. I can't remember. It's got a couple different ones, but they have it's a family office that I think they're holding like $1 billion right now worth of XRP, and they're offering a dividend right now at 5% per year. So, you may not have a lot for that to add up to anything right now, but let's say you got 10,000 XRP, which is only like $18,000 worth right now. Okay, 5% a year on that is not hardly anything, but if the value goes up to $500 per XRP and you got 10,000 of them, now what do you got? 50 million bucks?
Yeah, he's the law office
5 million,
for.
5 million.
I was just going to say he's a law. His office runs the family office that I work with. My buddy of mine runs it. Him and his partner, and they have a lot of money in it. So he's the one that structured, actually brought it to legislation to get it passed in Florida. So and they have multiple offices across the country, and they're international Gunster. So it's just I just thought I'd mention it, but exactly what you're saying.
Yep, yep. Bill, Marcus, I'm not sure if you have to start a new one. Can't his existing account be added? I think I
No,
just.
Kai, can you hear me? Kai said no. She said if it's older than 3 months, then
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So I mean, if you have an account, Marcus, and you're not having any problems with it, it's the difference is just customer support. I mean, they just look at you as a Crypto Renegade member, and they get, you get, they say VIP treatment, but I don't see any difference myself because I've always gotten good treatment from them. But they also will go above and beyond to settle any issues you have, from what I've seen. If you're categorized as Crypto Renegade, so DM me, Marcus. DM me your UID number from Phemex, and I'll send it over to my contact and just see what she can do. But like Bill just said, if it's older than a certain amount of time, you might just have to open up a new account using our referral link, which you could easily do as well. You just need a different email address. BA King says, what do you think of coins that are in the top 10, like HBAR and Link, as well as WLFI, owned by the Trump family, longevity standpoint, in reference to what you were just talking about? I think that HBAR, Link, Chainlink, XLM, Solana, even Cardano, ADA are all coins that you should hold and try to accumulate a lot of. But I think that XRP will be when it comes to the ISO 20022 financial tokens, that list that we just talked about just now, XRP will be the ship or the tide that rises all ships there. I think XRP will have the biggest move first. XLM and Link and all these other ones, they will appreciate. They will be used for a lot of different things in the settlement field as well. But I don't know that they will have the same type of ROI as maybe an XRP. I have them. I have a lot of each one of those, but that's not my main focus. I think XRP will be the one that pulls them all up. And if you got enough XRP, it doesn't really matter what else you have. I still accumulate Bitcoin too. But yeah, have them all if you can. I think we got that list somewhere in the
Hey,
group.
Nico,
Yes. Yes, sir.
you think
And-
there's going to be any alt season? I got some other ones that I've been waiting for them to get up so I can convert them, but I'm just wondering if I shouldn't just take the losses and get out of them now and get other stuff with it.
It depends on when you bought. And if you look at the yearly or the year to date or the all-time prices of that particular coin, and it's just gone down, down, down over 2, 3 years, 4 years. I mean, look at your time. Okay. So how much is the time worth to you? Is it slowly going down? If it's trickling down, it was the last time it was a big pump to the upside 3 years ago. And since then it's just gone down. Could it pump up a little more again? Yes, it could. I don't know if let's just say hypothetically, you got $500 sitting in VeChain, for instance. I like VeChain. VeChain has the potential to do good, but it's a Chinese-based company that, it depends on their rules over there and whether they decide to take control of it or if they come up with something competitor. So rather than sit there and watch VeChain go down, 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 I converted everything over to XRP. Me personally, that's what I did. And I was down. I think when I bought VeChain, it was much higher. It was like $14 or something, all the way down to, less than a penny again. So, it's hard to say. It's hard to say because you could do that and then all of a sudden you see a big pump and you're like, shit, I should have waited, but that's a crystal ball question. I can't know if that's ever going to happen. I don't think that the feverish pitch of energy is looking at any of those compared to XRP right now. What XRP is doing and all the billions of dollars in the infrastructure and all these, we're talking about, but once BlackRock's ETF goes live for XRP, which is imminent, guys, they are in the process, then, that's the biggest players in the world with XRP ETFs, Bitcoin ETFs, Ethereum ETFs. Those are the top three. I would say Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. And as far as ROI, Bitcoin could 10x from where it's at right now. And if you have one Bitcoin right now and it 10x's, you got 800 grand. Great. No doubt. That's awesome. But in that same time period that Bitcoin 10x's, XRP could 100x, 500x, or 1000x, and you can certainly accumulate a lot more XRP at $1.82 than you can Bitcoin right now. So your ROI would be much greater on that token. So if you're doing it to make a lot more money in a shorter period of time, I would say go with something that hasn't had that 10-year pump, because XRP back in 2013 existed, but they immediately went into legal battle with the SEC, which caused the price to get stagnate. And I think it would have correlated with Bitcoin a lot. It would have went up in value a lot over that time period had it not had all those issues. But then I started to learn that maybe those issues and those regulations that were holding it back were systematic and controlled manipulation for the sole purpose of keeping the price down, because they knew what they were going to be using it for in the future, and they didn't want it to pump much higher. They didn't want the value to get that high yet. And so now all of those regulations have been lifted. The SEC dropped the charges. All the institutions are coming in. XRP has got contracts with 11,000 banks around the world. It's happening. And so it's kind of like one of those things that, don't be late to the party kind of thing. It's like, now is the time. Some people said, should I wait for XRP to go down to $1 first before I buy it? I don't. That's like asking me when, in the last bear market, when Bitcoin was down at 17K, should I wait for Bitcoin to go down to 10K before I buy it? No. If you buy now, $1.80, and it does drop down to $1, buy a whole lot more, buy twice as much. Is it possible that it can go down to $1? Yeah, of course, everything's possible. If we go into a bear market and we have a little bit of a recession and we have a banking crisis because of the reverse carry trade and all this stuff that's happening while we're switching over to digital currency as the settlement on the back end, there could be a little bit of a fire. There could be a little bit of dump for a liquidity grab from major players and institutions, which could cause prices to dip a little bit first. And that is what we call the last shakeout. That's where they shake the tree to get all the dead weight and get all the low-hanging fruit off, which are all the weak hands. And I say that with all due respect, because there's a lot of people that have weak hands, meaning they just get scared when the price goes down. They want to get out. Oh, I'm losing money. I bought XRP. I bought 1,000 XRP at $3.20, and now it's down to $1, or my value's cut in half. I've lost half. No, you didn't lose anything as long as you still have the XRP. It's called unrealized loss, as long as you still have it. Once that goes back up above the purchase price that you bought it at, you're now in the green. That's just a waiting game. What you should do is double down while it's low. Buy more. And guys, I say that, I have to give a disclaimer. This is not financial advice, but I'm doing that. That's what I'm doing. Now, if it doesn't work out that way, and all of a sudden at the last minute, they say, we're not going to use XRP to do all this stuff. We've created our own coin. The government's going to control. No, why would the government need to do that? They don't. They could just take control of XRP. A technology that's already there, already in place, already working. And if they just took control of it, meaning with cooperation with Ripple founders, literally took control of the company under government control for the sole purpose of turning it into a reserve or turn it into a financial tool to handle the trillions of dollars worth of settlements on a daily basis, then there could be a government buyback. And by the way, don't get scared by that, because if XRP is $800 per XRP and they decide that is the buyback price, then whatever you have will get bought back at that price. Now, some of you might say, I don't want to sell it back. How can I avoid that? That's what Keith was talking about earlier, where you become institutionalized, meaning you put your XRP into a private entity or corporation, and then you go under, custodian control with it, and you loan it to the system as a business and get a dividend paid out. So if you have $100 million with XRP, you're just getting paid 5% per year for them using your XRP or holding it in that type of situation where you're loaning it back to the banks, basically loaning it to the government at that point, where you're just getting a dividend every year. So 5% a year. Okay, that's nice and safe. That's not, it's not going to change. It's 5% a year. So let's just say you have $100 million worth of XRP times 5%, $100 million, that's $5 million a year. Paid out monthly, that's 416 grand a month. I'm pretty sure most of us can live off that pretty good. And that would be that's my plan. Now, if on the way up to $100 million worth, it goes to $250, $300, $400, will I not sell some and take some off the table? I probably would, to be honest with you, because if I have 50,000 XRP hypothetical, and XRP goes to $500 per XRP. I like to do the math here. So let's just say I have 50,000 times $500. I'm sorry. What is that? 25 million? 50,000 times $500. That's $25 million. Maybe I'll sell $5 million worth and just pull that back out, put it in my bank account, deal with pay taxes, whatever you got to do, whatever, put it in your corporate account. And then move the rest into a holding account where you're getting paid a dividend on. That way you got a nice little cushion in cash. There's nothing wrong with doing any of that, guys, especially if you got a lot invested. You could take your money, your initial principal off the table. There's a lot of things you can do. I'm not telling you what to do or how to do it by any means. Now, some of you, not just you, but the majority of the people will just sell. As soon as XRP goes to $10, $15, they will just sell and take profit. That's what most people will do because they just don't need better. It's just like the people that win the lottery. Like this lady that won 1.6 billion the other day. Did you see that on the news? In Arkansas or Alabama? Can't remember where she was. She won 1.8 billion. After taxes and fees and everything, she's going to walk away with 468 million. Now, that doesn't seem fair already. She already screwed up because she didn't structure herself properly. But so 460 million. Now, I bet you because she posed with her picture smiling and the $1.8 billion check, now everybody knows who she is. She didn't do that properly. She obviously didn't claim the ticket in an entity name like she should have done. There's a lot of things you can do if you win the lottery that you should do before you claim that ticket. She didn't do any of that. So she's going to get 460 million wired to her bank account from probably broke to 400 million. Now, what do you think she's going to do? She's going to buy everything she ever wanted and dreamed about. She's going to have a nice house. All of her friends and family members are going to come out of the woodwork. She's going to be giving money to all of them. Usually this is what happens because you feel guilted into doing that. And then you say, well, if someone comes to you and borrows your money from you, no problem. But here's what I would do personally. I would say, listen, I'm not going to loan you the 100,000 you just asked for. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you, if this is a family member, for instance, I will give you $1 million. Just don't ever ask for any money again. You wanted a $100,000 loan, which you would have to pay back. I'm going to give you $1 million. Just don't ask for any more. That's how I would do it. But also, here's what people do wrong is they buy everything that they ever wanted in cash. And then they deplete that money because they're buying depreciating assets. There are casas, cars, motorcycles, jewelry, all the stuff, trips and everything that money just evaporates and goes away. Before you know it, your 460 million is down to 180 million. You still think you're super rich and you are, but this is why sports, pros, they get $100 million contracts and they're broke. As soon as they retire, break their knee, break their leg, they can't play anymore. Contract's over and they're broke and they have to sell their Miami mansions and all their cars just to pay their bills. And then they get divorced from their wife and that's it. It's over for them, right? And so what could you do instead is exactly what we we're just talking about. You got $100 million, you get a nice dividend, you get a nice pension from it, $5 million a year for life. Okay, you can have everything you ever wanted. Here's how it works. Well, I can't go and buy a $5 million house cash because then I won't have any money for another year until I get my next 5 million. No, you don't buy it. You don't buy anything cash. You finance everything to the hilt. I know that might sound crazy. Well, why would I want to pay interest if I could afford to pay cash for it? Here's why. You lease that multi-million dollar mansion or you get a mortgage. You lease the Ferraris and the Rolls Royces, or you get a car loan. Either way, you borrow as much against it as possible because the dividend, the 400,000 a month that you're getting from that 5% a year can pay all of those payments every month. If you want a new Rolls Royce because the other one's already a year old and you don't want it anymore, you just take it to the dealer and trade it in for a new one. You just keep making the payment from the free money you're getting every month without ever spending your $100 million that's sitting there being held as collateral. And so this is just financial maneuvering, but a lot of people, if you listen to, like Dave Ramsey, he'll tell you, oh, that's foolish. You shouldn't have any debt. You should pay everything off. Well, it's easy to say when you're multi-millionaire, but if you're just barely making ends meet and you pay everything off, you don't have any money and you're not growing your wealth. So money is a tool. If you use it properly, if you win a large sum of money or come into a large sum of money, I use the lottery as an example, but for some of you, having 10,000, 20,000 XRP turning into $1,000 each is going to be like winning the lottery. It's going to be a windfall like you've never seen. And you're going to have to then sit back for a little while. Don't spend any, don't tell anybody any, just smile every day wherever you go, knowing that you are super rich, and then get the proper legal help to structure your finances properly so that when you do start to disperse or take a disbursement or invest in things, you're doing it at the most advantageous way possible for wealth preservation and tax elimination.
Hey, Nico,
Yes.
is it true that if you take your assets currently and move them into an LLC or a trust, which is in an LLC, that becomes a taxable event?
Yes, but what you do, Robert, is you sell. So let's just say you have hypothetically, you have 1,000 XRP that you bought for $1.80. Let's just say $2 for easy numbers. So, and then XRP goes up to $100 each. You would you would move all that crypto into a cold storage wallet, and you would sell your cold storage wallet to your LLC for the price you paid for it, $1.80 or $2 for the cost that it cost you for that, right? So then you would pay tax on that sale. That's it.
Gotcha. Have you looked into custodial of your assets in any depth?
You know, I've had appointments with Claver's group and another family office, and I wasn't quite ready to turn over all control, or you're not even turning over control. Really, if it's done right, you're still in control and everything's in your name. But I think I wanted to see it first, just like staking and stuff like that. Even with like Optio, for instance, I haven't staked anything yet. I want to accumulate a bunch first and then look at it and see the results of other people staking. I don't like things to be tied up for 21 days. I like to stay a little bit more liquid. I personally, I don't think there's going to be much of a difference doing it now, pre-price appreciation, or waiting till price appreciation. With price appreciation, I'll be able to see a couple things that a lot of people worry about. What will happen to Coinbase? What will happen to centralized exchanges? What will happen to my XRP on Coinbase? Because I'm leaving a lot there too. I have it moved around in different buckets so I can see. Because Coinbase is promising that they're going to be the same kind of situation where they can offer custodialship and lending and liquidity pools and interest and all that stuff as well. That's probably more for the masses, whereas a private office is probably more sophisticated and more private and done properly. Because if you have a Coinbase account in your own personal name, you're not going to have the same tax benefits as setting up an LLC or a holding company or a living trust or an irrevocable trust like you could do with a private office. So it's the difference between just being a high income earner in a business or a job and someone who actually has tax advisors and, real estate tax attorneys and real tax deduction strategies in place. So you can save money and make money without all that stuff, but you could probably save more money, protect your wealth, anonymously grow wealth and have it so that where it can't be attached to you or attacked or sued or taken from you by doing it in a more sophisticated way. So the benefits are probably better to do it that way with a LLC or a trust in a holding company and then invest it that way. That is probably the proper way to do it. But so I have not done it yet. I'm still just sitting in my own private wallets. Now, the difference between me and I would say the regular person out there is that a lot of people don't understand how wallets work and cold storage wallets and stuff like that. And so they're a little scared. They just trust most people will just have their XRP in a hedge fund, in a ETF, like a Bitcoin ETF or XRP ETF. They just trust the bigger institutions. They just trust financial advisors because they're too busy running their business or their company or their job that they don't have the time, and they didn't take the time to understand all of these tools and all of these things, right? So they just trust other people who are supposed to be trusted advisors, right? And those people who are trusted advisors, they may be trusted advisors, but they also have to get paid. So now you got a middleman, you got a broker, you got someone who you have to pay, who gets a percentage or a fee for everything that they help you with, which I personally don't need that person in my life because I understand how to do all this stuff behind the scenes myself. But most people do need that. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with putting money in an ETF. There's nothing wrong for a regular person to have a 401k. I personally would never have a 401k because to me, I can make much more money with my money than a 401k will ever make me. Not only that, but when you weigh in all the fees and all the implications to it, you're actually breaking even with a 401k. even if your company is matching you. It's a forced savings account is all it is. So if you really know how to make money with money, then you would never do those things. You would take the money and be in total control, just like insurance, health insurance. I don't want to say this because I might piss some people off in here, but health insurance is a scam. Okay. Now you might say, well, oh, I need health insurance because I got to go to the doctor, or what if my daughter gets sick, or what if my wife gets sick? But me personally, when I look back at how much I've spent on health insurance over the last 5 years and how much I've needed it, or how much the medical community has cost me, I would have been much better off and had a lot more money accumulated had I not had that health insurance. And I just took that hundreds of dollars a month and put it into an investment. That's called being self-insured. I'm kind of anti-doctor when it comes to that. If I break a leg or get a laceration, I will go to the emergency room for sure. I will seek immediate care. But when it comes to visiting a regular primary health physician to get his opinion on my health, and he sees that my cholesterol is high and tells me I should get on a statin or something, I laugh in his face because he doesn't know what he's talking about, because they don't really understand how the body works or anything. They just go to med school. No offense to any doctors out there. They're not taught about nutrition. They're not taught about the metabolism and how the body works. What they're just taught is what medicine to prescribe when a customer or patient has this symptom. That's it. So I use that as an example because in the financial world, it's very much the same. And even in this group, guys, people join this group and reach out to me, and they don't even want to watch the videos or get on the live calls or learn anything because they're so busy. And this is not a dig at anybody. I understand that there are people in this situation and they just want me to tell them what to do. They just want to book a call with me, or they want to just send me their money and me invest it for them. I don't want to do that. I want you to learn. That's why we teach. I want you to be responsible for yourself. But there are people out there who will take your money to do it for you. And that is more risky than anything I've ever seen, trusting someone else's with your money. So,
Nico, real quick,
yes.
while you're talking about finances, if it is the second marriage, do not use the same attorney. Whoever dies first, the attorney's going to look and see whose account has the most money. My mom, second marriage, his second marriage, he had 1.5 million. He represented the dead husband's children and his family, and my mom got kicked to the side when she needed, and her 80s, needed advice. So you never use the same attorney if it's the second marriage.
Wow. Yeah.
Because it's a conflict of interest. We learned that one the hard way, but they had already decided the attorney, so I came in late on that game, but we paid the price for it.
Yeah. Marriage is a tough one, guys. Why people get married multiple times in the first place is crazy to me, but I look at it from a different perspective. It's just a contract with the state in most cases, and it's very hard to explain that to anybody, especially when there's love involved.
Because we're not quitters, Nico.
Love or lust?
Well, because
Love,
that's what they
love.
tell us that we have to do. That's why. Because that's what we've always done. That's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah. There's very little benefit. Well, not for everybody, but generally for the man, but there's very, very little benefit, but there is a argument for it, of course. And I like the idea of it. And I certainly love the whole principle behind it. But in this day and age, it is an expensive proposition. And when you talk about prenups and things like that, then that causes things to go sour, even though it's probably the most prudent, smartest thing for people to do, both parties. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Alex. That sucks. But you're right. In fact, you should, if you should also call the most prominent attorneys in your area and hire them. Get them on retainer.
Hey, Nico, are there any
Nico.
gotchas? Are there any gotchas that we need to know about in setting up a Wyoming LLC? I mean, I know Jake wants $2,500 to set up the LLC. I don't know that that's worth it. And he talks about special language in the agreement, and I'm having a hard time understanding what's so special about what he's going to do for you.
Yeah, you could probably set one up yourself for a couple $100, but at the same time, the agreements and the contract and the language that he's talking about is probably geared more towards the assets being held. And because it's crypto related, if you just open up an LLC, it's not going to cost you much. But then what are you using that for? What's the business about? And so I think that his approach might be a little bit more geared towards the digital assets, which there might be some language that would be required. Is it worth $2,500? Probably. It's just to know that you've done everything right. I mean, I can't say I haven't spent that before with legal help setting up entities, but I have also done it myself for a lot less. Sometimes just already having an LLC, and I don't know if it even needs to be in Wyoming, but like I'm in Florida, so Florida corporation we still have a tax. They're going to always recommend you just do it in your own state. Most people will, but unless you're in California or New York or somewhere like that where the laws are totally not in your favor, Canada. But I don't know.
I got a question too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Would you go over how to stake a little bit? Would that be possible?
Yeah. But back to your the comment a minute ago, as far as the $2,500 LLC, I would ask them why. If you're able to get on a call with them or ask them, I would ask them why that price. I could set up an LLC myself for $300. Why are you charging $2,500? If their answer to you is because of the contract or because of the legalese and the language in it, then I mean they're telling you the reason why they're charging so much. I mean, I guess you're getting some crypto expert accounting or crypto expert legal advice along with that fee. Staking. It depends on where you're staking. Will, if you just go like on Coinbase and you just click, like there's buttons that just say earn 4% per year, earn 5%. You just click it.
Well, that lady was talking about staking XRP and whatever. So I was just wondering, like, I've never looked into that. I was just wondering how that works and
yeah. So I'll
if
show
you
you
know what I mean.
Yeah, let me share my screen again. So if you are on Phemex and you're like looking at your chart like this, right? You just go up here to the top here where it says Phemex and just scroll over to earn. See that? Earn.
Yeah.
Right here, stake ETH, stake USDT, earn, on-chain earn.
Click on there. Yeah. Okay.
So if you click stake ETH, for instance, or let's just say stake USDT, and you click on it, it's going to take you to a page where you can explain, where it's going to explain to you how much you can earn, how does it work. It explains it all here better than I can explain to you right now, but there's certain cryptos that you can stake, on-chain earn products. Here they are right here, ETH, USDT, Solana. And then now I think that with XRP, there's a different section to do that. I think you got to go into your with wallet and go to your spot wallet account and then click on it there. But look at this on ETH, 10% per year. 14 days.
So if you put one
ETH,
ETH, so say you put one ETH in there and you leave it there for a year, you get 10% basically. Or what?
Yeah, that's the annual percentage rate that they're paying out, 9.94% per year. And
but they're paying every 14 days.
No, the redemption, I believe, is that if you decide you want to unstake it, you got to wait 14 days.
From the day that you stake it.
No, from the day that you request to remove it from staking.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Down here, the frequently asked questions, and then you can learn all about it here. Just go up to the earn section here and just click on any of those links there to learn about it. I'm running out of time, so I can't right now. We got 2 minutes left. Onboarding is starting right now at 2 p.m., guys. So the link that Bill just shared in the chat is for new people onboarding. And if you've already been on it once or twice, feel free to get on it again. It's definitely good to learn in case you missed something. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep an eye on, let me just go back here real quick and see, because I think that we're in this very weird little zone right here where we are holding support. I'll just show this real quick. We are holding support just for a quick last minute thing here on this upward trending line, which is very similar to last bull market's upward trending line after we hit an all-time high and bounced and double topped, and we're bouncing on this right now. The difference is back here is we did break out this. I'm sorry, that's not last year. What is this? Oh yeah, that is last year. The difference is here, we did break out of the upward trending support, but we just didn't make it actually looks more like this. We just didn't get up high, that high. So here, we're in the process of breaking out of it right now. We did break out of the downward trending resistance. We just haven't pumped up yet, but I think we're going to. We're going to have one last rally here, guys. I think, we got 2 days left of this year. I think we are going to have a little pump. We go down to the lower time frame, we'll see. And this is Bitcoin, but we had this one today, this morning, overnight, last night, and then it came back down. But I think we're going to see a couple more of those, but we are still ranging sideways for now. It's very obvious. It's a very obvious sideways range that we're in. And we need to get above that 90K zone and be above it in order to even have an attempt up here at the 95. And as far as XRP is concerned, and I know I've only talked about those two today because these are my main concern, these two. I'm not really trading other meme tokens right now. Once you learn the strategy and you understand how to get in and get out and go long, use the proper risk management, you can come over here and click on this and trade hundreds of different cryptos against USDT. And look, there's some of them that are pumping. You just scroll down and look at this one. Hippo is up 13%, whereas Bitcoin is down. Like everything's down except for some. Look at this one. Take USDT up 22%. What's going on with that? Let's click on it. Just look at it. Look at that big pump out of nowhere for no reason. So what's going on there? Is it too late? Well, I don't know. Let's just take an upward trending resistance line. And we did break through it and we came down and went back above it. So who knows? There could be something going on with this token. I don't know anything about it, but this might be one that you want to look at. It could pump up to have a new high. I haven't learned anything about it, but this is how you find tokens that are just not correlating with Bitcoin at all, that are just doing their own thing. XRP, on the other hand, same thing. It's upward trending. It's breaking out of a downward trending resistance and it's retesting. Is it going to fall through? Does look like it is kind of right now, but what's it falling through to? It came down and hit this line. It fell through, but only to this line. Is that going to, do I even have that in the right spot? Possibly not. There we go. It's just the middle line. I think that we're going to see a pump up to about the $2 range, maybe even $2.05 range on XRP in the short term. And I think Bitcoin $96,000 to $100,000 in the short term. I'm keeping an eye on it. If I see anything changing, I'll post a signal or give an update in the Discord, in the Signal channel, so my Signal channel. And so in the meantime, get on the onboarding call if you're new. And for someone, he said, I had someone 2 weeks ago quote me 45K, then 700 a month. Holy cow. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you set up the LLC yourself and then you go to someone like Jake Flavor's group to see if they will, hold your assets for you and do their whole custodian thing for you, they might want to see your structure and then they might want you to change it again anyway. So I don't know. Depends on who you're going to use, I guess.
So the lifetime membership, is that expiring now by the end of the year, or you're not sure yet?
Whose lifetime membership?
Like the Crypto Renegades.
No, if you're in Crypto Renegades, if you came in on a lifetime access, then it's not expiring. It's lifetime.
Yes, but for new members, like if somebody is gonna acquire a membership in the new year.
We are working that out right now, but it probably won't be lifetime. It'll probably be more of a yearly thing. It won't necessarily be the same price every year, but it will be It'll be for a 12-month for,
I'm just thinking like if I want to join my wife and my kids on there, but it's quite a bit of money.
well, since
do
you're
that
already
all.
in, that's different. If you're already in, we could work something. We could talk to you about that. I'm not worried about it. We have different, there's something that's happening, guys, that all of you will be benefits of, you will all benefit from. And that is, we are going to be expanding the services and expanding the deliverables, meaning there's going to be more help in the group. There's going to be more live calls. There's going to be other traders and experts in our group that are going to be going live and giving their technical analysis and giving their strategies and teaching as well, in addition to me and Chad. So we're just going to be increasing the amount of value. And so that technically will probably cost more going into the new year for new people. You guys are grandfathered in, so you don't have to worry about it. But unfortunately, whenever you offer more and give more, it costs more sometimes, especially because we're going to have to pay and cover the expenses of the people that are helping us. So with all that being said, that's just normal business. I know most of you understand that because most of you are entrepreneurs. That's just the way it goes. But
Thank you very much.
yeah, you're welcome. But yeah, we'll just send me a message, William. We'll work something out.
Thank you. I got quite a few kids, so to do them all at once, it's hokey doodle.
Oh yeah, I can understand that. I mean,
I'm the oldest of 10, and then I got 7 kids myself. So to do that all in one shot, man, I'll be
wow.
bankrupt.
Oh, congratulations! You're creating your own little country.
I know.
Now you need them to start making money themselves, so they're not all relying on you, right?
Well, they're still young, so the oldest is just 14, but whatever.
Hey, well, listen, we have a father and son that came in this group a couple years ago. He was 14. His son was 14 when he joined us. He's still in the group. He still gets on these calls, and he was making trades and learning a lot and doing really well at 14 years old. I think he's like 16 now. So it's definitely a good time to learn.
Yeah, they're slowly but surely. We'll get them.
Yep. All right, guys, have a great rest of your afternoon here. It is Monday. I'll see you on Wednesday's call, but between now and then, if I see any changes, I'll be in the group. Just ask in the chat if you have any questions. All right.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you, sir.